Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Mimi Doa Titan of the Lily's Bakery. In today's video, I will be decorating a 3-layered vanilla cake in American buttercream, and I'll be using the piping technique. So you just come along with me as I decorate this really lovely piece. Today we're going all vintage. So this client of mine is just turned 18. She's been my client since she was 15, yes. And she always happens to know exactly what she wants. And so this time, since she was turning 18, she decided she wanted to keep it vintage. And so we decided to go old school on this cake design. And so if you stay with me, you'll watch the processes. So after I had properly rinsed my hands, I started decorating the cake. I've layered my buttercream, and you see that butter I piped around the cake is to enable the caramel feeling not to protrude. So this is me placing another layer. I'm just carving the bottom edge. It's always important you carve those edges so you could just level the cake. And then I'm going on with another layering of buttercream. I'll just properly lay it and then pipe another butter. This will help keep the caramel sauce inside the cake so that it does not start protruding after you finish designing your cake. So this stage is really important to keep your fillings seated in one place. So this is me going on with the last layer. I'm leveling it, and then I'll place it over the top. After this stage, I'll just trim the edges to make sure the cake is straight. I'll trim the edges properly to make sure the cake is straight. But you can see it's moving. That's because of the caramel sauce. It's moving because the caramel sauce is really slippery. And so in order to keep this steady, you need to use some dual rods. Maybe 2 or 3 will do a perfect job. And chilling your cake is really important when you have some fillings inside your cake. Let's say some liquid fillings like caramel sauce or strawberry filling or all those kind of purees. If you use it to fill your cake, it's really important to dual and also to chill inside the fridge or freezer. So as you can see, you're already familiar with the stage. I always emphasize on crumb coating your cakes because this is a secret to a perfect finished cake. So always make sure to crumb coat your cakes, as you can see me doing in this video. So as I'm crumb coated, I'm still trying to keep the cake straight because of the caramel sauce. At this stage, I have already inserted the dual rod, but in my next video, I would make sure you see while I'm inserting the dual rod so as to keep the cake firm and steady. It will help keep the cake firm and steady. So you just take your time in crumb coating. You crumb coat until you've gotten a perfect crumb coated cake before you start being generous with your buttercream. Crumb coat perfectly before you start being generous with your buttercream. And so after I'm done crumb coating, you can see me putting a good amount of buttercream onto my cake. And so I deliberately did not forward this video so you would see how gentle and steady you need to be patient with your buttercream. So you can see how I'm going clockwise with my board. I'm moving my board. My knife isn't moving. My knife is steady. just my board is moving, and then I'm just slightly putting my hand over the palette knife. And here I'm cleaning the board where the cake is sitting so it doesn't carry particles on the buttercream. And I'm going around the cake with more buttercream. But at this point, I'm being generous with the buttercream. So this stage is really important. It's really important. I'm still going around with the buttercream, just making sure it's covered in all areas beneath. And then I'm also scooping again to add to the cake. As you can see, I'm scooping in large amounts. At this stage, you will need to be generous, as I always emphasize with your buttercream. You just scoop a reasonable amount so you could cover a good portion on your cake. So you just be slow and steady. You don't need to rush it. You need to do your covering slow and steady. Yeah, slow and steady, but you get everything covered in just a few minutes. So as you can see, I'll just fill up the areas that are still open. It's okay to put a little excess, because once you're smoothing out your cake, you collect out the excess. So it's fine to put in a little excess, but you don't need to make it too much, just reasonable amount. And then here you could see, as I'm going around with my smoother, I'm getting out the excess. So you don't need to worry about the excess buttercream that it's going over it. You just need to apply it to be well covered. So once you're going around it with your smoother, you're getting something that you would collect from the cake and also leave a perfect finish. Because if your buttercream is too light, once you're scraping, you will be seeing the naked cake. So that's why you need to be generous with your buttercream. And then for the smoothing, you could see how I'm doing it. I'm moving my smoother slightly and also moving my board at the same time. So here, you would need to perfect the act of working with your two hands. Yes. In fact, the hand on the board moves faster than the one holding the smoother, because the smoother is just lightly resting over the cake. So here you keep smoothing it and going around the cake, and also closing some uneven spaces. You will close uneven spaces and go around the cake until you get the desired look. This is almost perfect, but not yet perfect. So I'll keep going around the cake until I get the desired look. That is why in cake decorating, you need to be patient, really patient with your decorations. Because if you are not patient, you would not get that squeaky clean and perfect finish. So you can see, there's no much pressure on the smoother, but on the board. I am moving the board. I am more focused on moving the board. And then my smoother is just resting by the cake while I'm holding it firm. So at this stage, I'll proceed to smooth the top. This is also another stage where you would need to be careful so as you would not over scrape the top. You need to keep it leveled. So once you're scraping, you won't go so deep, but you will keep it leveled in order to get of the required quantity. As you see, I'm going with my knife really slightly. I'm not going so deep, because if I go so deep, I wouldn't get the required finish. And now you could see everything is looking straight. It's looking almost perfect. And I'll just need to maybe go over this once or just twice to get that perfect finish. And as you can see, it's looking perfect, isn't it? So now I've filled my piping bag with all the required icing I'm using. Here I'm using the star nozzle to pipe around the top of the cake. And I'm just going slow and steady. And then piping the top neatly to get that perfect finish. As you can see. And now I'll go in with another nozzle and then pipe the borders of the cake, or what you call it, edges, and then go over it again. So the nozzle I'm using here is somehow like a leaf nozzle, but then I'm doing the same thing I did with the first one. I'm moving clockwise and I'm moving the same direction with the same technique. So here I'll do the bottom, the same thing I did at the top. I'll do the bottom, I'll go around it and round. Remember I said it's all about piping. So piping is the basic of this cake. We're just keeping it old school and beautiful. Yeah, so you could see we're almost done. And so here I'm using the green buttercream. I've colored it green. I've colored the buttercream green, and then I'm going around. This is just a straight nozzle. I'm going around. I'm making some curves and then going around. I'm pressing and releasing, pressing and releasing. So when it comes to piping on a cake, it's just, you take practice to get this done. So as you can see, I'm going around. You hold, you press and you release and create a curve. You press, release and create a curve. That's what I'm doing. And for the stage, I'm done. And then I'll move to the next stage where it's the same nozzle, the same straight nozzle. But here I'm going by the edges. I'm doing the same thing I did beneath. I'm doing the same thing I did beneath. Just pressing and holding. Pressing and holding and going around to create that curve. So even if you're not good with piping, if you keep doing it, you'll get there. So I'm done with this stage now, and I'll also hit the next stage now. So while I was recording this part, I was supposed to create like a love-like shape, and when I was about to change the nozzle, I didn't know that the phone had stopped recording. So I'm sorry I didn't get that part, but I got the rest. And so now I'm creating some curves around the cake. At some point my hand was shaky, so it didn't really, the curves didn't really come out perfect. But it wasn't still so bad, so I continued working. When I discovered they weren't so perfect, I discovered it wasn't looking that bad, so I still proceeded. I continued with the design because the option was to start all over again. So it somewhat looked like the style as well, so I just proceeded and continued doing, and I figured out it wasn't looking too bad. So I just continued like that. And so this side that wasn't really curvy, I made up my mind to use it as the back side of the cake. So that's what I did with the cake. And then the side that was most perfect became the front view of the cake. So I'm just piping some dots. So what I used, the nozzle I used here is just the writing nozzle. The nozzle that you would use to write on your cake is what I'm using here. It's the same one I use to pipe the curves and the same one I'm using to pipe the dots. And so our cake is gradually coming to life. And I hope you're loving it, and I hope you're learning a thing or two from this beautiful piped work. So if you're still watching, please remember to subscribe and tell me where you're watching from in the comment section, and let me know what kind of cake you would want me to decorate next. So I'll be hoping to see you in the comment section. Please like, comment, and share with a friend who would love to learn how to pipe with buttercream. I hope with a simple piping technique, you've been able to learn a thing or two about piping with buttercream. This is not my best work yet, but hopefully you'll see more that you would love more. So please remember to subscribe, like, and comment where you're watching from, and just tell me what you would want me to do next. If you have any questions, just leave them down in the comment section and I will ask them. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.